Okay, so now that I've moved those parts out of the way, and I'll bring them back periodically to just help to drive the point home of the proper shapes. Okay, so I'm going back to this simple form, which is we have the 4 legs. And I'm going to start on the back leg. And as with all of the legs, the first thing you want to do is you want to start to pinch the clay down like that. Okay, and that's how we're going to first make the feet, to create the feet on the elephant. So I'm going to go all the way around. As you can see, I'm flattening those little pads out there, creating that foot that looks like the elephant. And again, you can see it in here where I've done that in this example. And I'll take you back and show you once again in the picture. You can see the pads of the feet, which is actually the toes, and the pads of the feet of the elephant. Okay, now I'm not going to make it as accurate as I did on the other, but I wanted to just show you how that begins. And then you can perfect it and make it look better. And like I said, what's important is for you to have pictures, as many pictures as you feel are necessary to help you achieve the level of detail and accuracy that you want in your sculpture. Okay, so we've done that stage. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to bend this leg back so that it is bent like the design that I created before. All right, so what we're going to do is we're just going to move that leg back like this. And because I've secured this nicely to the body of the elephant, you can see that it's not breaking away, it's not cracking. Okay, so we've moved that back. And then what I'm going to do is create that position. So I'm going to bend the elephant's leg at the approximate area where the knee would be. Okay, just as you can see, I've done it in this other one. And now it looks quite different, and the reason is because I haven't applied all the muscle area and flaps of skin and fat and everything else that you find on an elephant. Same way in the back. There's a lot of muscle that has to be built up or beefed up, as some people would like to say. So, but first what I'm doing is I'm just going to create the position of that leg. Okay, so that's the first stage. All right. And then on the front, you can see this leg is extended forward. So I'm going to extend that leg forward. Like that, bending that out. Okay. All right, and I'm going to move this leg back a little bit. Now there'll be different diameters here on some of these limbs as you're manipulating them, but that's okay at this stage. What you want to do is just get them lined up where you want them to be in the final sculpture, so that later you can come back and you can add on the muscle areas and everything else to make it look more like what a real elephant would look like. But like I said, the first thing you want to do is you want to keep a good sense of the relationships between the major forms, and you want to get these legs in the right positions to start off with. And I'm going to bend this one. You can see on the other side is being bent up a little bit more. And Try to maintain those little foot pads like so. Alright? And we can sit him back, make sure he's sitting right. And we have to adjust, just stretch the little leg down so that all four legs at this stage are touching. Like so. Okay, so that's the first stage. Now, even though you see on this piece that I have the trunk up, at this stage you don't want to worry about this, because this is a very delicate, the trunk is a very delicate part of the sculpture, and you're bound to bang it and misshape it as you progress with all of the geometry that needs to be done, all the shapes that need to be created on the body. You leave those kind of delicate details until towards the end of your sculpture. So let's start putting some more muscle on this back leg to duplicate the look here. And what I'm going to do is take an amount of clay, which looks roughly about the same volume as what I have here, and once again, just using my hand, I'm going to put it right up on that area there, and then I'm going to smooth it in like that. Okay. A little bit on the front there, which accentuates a little bit where that knee is. And you can begin to see, now we're going to put a little muscle, and like I said, an elephant has a lot of muscle, has a lot of fat, and it has a lot of folds of skin, loose skin. So we're going to add that on the back there, and you can begin to see how that shape starts to form. And try to also maintain the integrity of what looks like the foot. So, alright, so there's the first stage you can see between the new leg we're creating and the one I've already created. Okay, so now I think what we're going to do, I'm going to move this little guy off to the side here again. And even though we haven't gone too far with this back leg, I want to start on the front leg here. And let me bring up our prop again so that I can refresh your memory about what we're dealing with. Okay, the front leg, in correlation to what our arm would be, this is the wrist area here, and down here would be the toes, and once again the fleshy pad in the back of the foot is what the elephant has to absorb the immense weight of the elephant's body. And in this case, this area here is going to be the equivalent of the elbow. So what I'm going to do then is start to shape or create those forms on this little elephant. I'm going to take a little clay here, and I'm going to build up in the back here. Back in the back here, like this. And I'm going to shift some of this clay down. It's a little hard because my hand's hiding it, but I'm going to shift some of this clay down like this. Alright, and then smooth this little area there like that. Now the more the elephant bends its front leg, the more that you would be able to see exactly where these forms are, where the elbow and the wrist are. And let me just demonstrate with this piece here. The way they would bend would be like this. They would bend like this at the wrist, and at the elbow it would bend like that. Okay? Alright, so, and if you ever see an elephant in that position, you will see them where their foot is up like that. So Okay. Alright, so let's just smooth that. And once again, add a little bit more clay because we're doing the additive and subtractive. In this area here, we're going to be doing additive. And we're going to move that wrist or the elbow up just a little bit more, like that. Okay, and just a little bit more here. Okay. Alright, so now you can see that that starts to look similar to the leg that we've created on the more finished design. The next step that we're going to do is we're going to put the ears on. And that's what I have these two pieces here for. And the best way to do that is actually to try to take your picture, bring your picture back, especially if you don't have a model to go by like I have. Take your picture and look at the shape of the elephant's ears. And what you can see here to help understand, in this baby elephant, it shows more accurately the real shape of the ear here. You can see that it flares up above here. Let me get a tool so I can help show you that a little bit more accurately. This part of the ear actually flaps up like this. And in this case, what you're seeing, this straight line, represents where the ear, the elephant's ear, has flapped back over. So you're actually in this picture where you see this edge, it would actually be right along this line here, which is where this flap is folding back over in this elephant here. So what we're going to do is create a shape that's similar to this, but we're going to make it like this elephant where the flap is actually flapping back over to create that straighter line. And we're going to do it by taking this piece, which I've already started to flatten, like that. Pinch. You want it a little thicker up near the part where you're going to be attaching it to the baby elephant's head. Now you can also do this by laying it out on maybe a piece of cellophane if you feel more comfortable doing it that way and actually cutting the edge out so that you can make a more accurate line. But what you need to make sure of is that you keep it thicker at the point where it's going to be attaching and then thinner out towards the edge, like that. You can kind of see that edge there. It's just a thin edge, and here it's a lot thicker up in here. Now later we can create the effect of the flapping over, but right now I just want to get that basic shape started so that you can get an understanding of the way the ear's shaped and how it attaches to the baby elephant's head. Now you might have to do this several times because as you form it, you'll put it on, and this is where it's important to always keep a sense of the relationship of your forms. So we put this on and we see it's too big, then we have to pinch off a little bit of that edge at the bottom, just remove it, subtract, use your subtractive technique. And again, I'm working in reverse here, so I'm working from behind the sculpture where you're actually viewing it from the front. Alright, and again, we put it, it looks like it's closer, so let me just turn this around to see. It's probably a little bit, still a little bit too big, but it's pretty close. So I'm going to just move along here and show you how to attach it. Now once again, what we want to do is we want to create a good point at which we attach the ear so that it won't fall off later on. And once again, the ear is a very delicate shape, just like the trunk is. So we want to try to eliminate a lot of the work they're going to be doing around the leg. If you're working to achieve this design with a little bit more detail, you might want to spend a few more, maybe even an hour or two more, working on perfecting these legs. And the best way to perfect those details is to have as many pictures as you can find. The more pictures that, excuse me, that actually show the exact position of the leg that you want to use, and showing all the little detail, the easier it's going to be for you to achieve the end result that you want. So let me just put this ear on, and I'm going to kind of fuse it in there using our fingers again, no tools yet. And then I can even push it in a little bit like this, and put the fuse the clay behind the ear, or behind the behind the ear on the back of the head, right like that. You want to fuse that right into there. You can push it in again, a little more, and you want to take a look periodically and see how that ear looks in relation to the face. Did you move the ear too close to the trunk, or should it be pushed back a little bit? If it does, then simply just push it back a little bit and then work that excess clay into the head, just like that. Okay, hope you can all see that. And we just try to reshape, reestablish if we lost some of the form of the original shape of the elephant's ear. And we just want to try to pinch that back into position. Now, the top of the ear, as we mentioned, we're going to make it straight, a little straighter like it is here. But like I mentioned before and I showed, this is actually, this straighter line represents where the ear, the elephant's ear, which is more like this, okay, has flapped over, so it's flapping back like that. And you just want to take a little piece like that and create that flapping back over, like so. And now you can use a tool if you want and blend that into the head, the back of the head there. And that's how you can get the ear started in position. Now, the next part that we're going to do is going to be the mouth. I want to show you how the mouth is formed. Okay, and if you take a good look, the mouth is just a small piece, so you can take a little piece of clay. You can start with a little ball or a little cone and just kind of pancake it out a little bit, and then pinch the front. Very similar to the way that we created the ears on the rhino. If you remember the rhino's horn, or the rhino's ears, excuse me, you can see here what we did was we pinched them to make these little ears. I'll give you a good look at that again. And that's exactly the same technique that we're going to use to create the mouth. We're just going to pinch that clay into a kind of a triangle there, a rough triangle, and you can see there we have a little excess clay on the back there. And then what we're going to do is just going to take that underneath here, and we're just going to press it in underneath using your finger, and then fuse that clay in, and the excess clay will actually form part of the elephant's neck. And what's left over, if it's too much, then you can once again just pinch it off if you need to. If you take too much off, pinch or put it back on. Or you can use it for some other part of the face. In this case, what I'm going to do is start to form the little bit of the jawline here, And so I'm just going to put that little extra piece on the face here to start to form the jawline of the baby elephant. Okay, and still, as you can see, I'm just leaving this trunk alone for now because it's really, we don't need to tend to that just yet. Now you can go back over, take a look at your overall design and look at the parts that you have, start to compare them. Once again, check to see if the proportions of your ear are accurate in relationship to the body, to the length of the legs, to the head, to the length of the trunk. And the parts that you want to particularly be interested in are the parts that you've already been working on. The trunk, for example, because you haven't worked on it yet, may be a little too long, and you'll have to pinch that off in the stages when you get to the trunk in order to bring it in proportion with the other shapes that you've already created. Okay, with that, now I'm going to do one other fine detail part, which is the tail. And once again, the tail is formed by just rolling out a very thin piece. And again, like the rhino, it has a very, very similar shape. A little long, thin piece. Most of it, it's all hairless up here on the part that attaches to the body. And then at the very end, it bulges out, which is actually a little tuft of hair at the end of the tail, which looks kind of like that. And then we're just going to, and I created that by simply just pinching it now this way here, just to create from the side the width that it would be. And then what you want to do is just place it, check with the other pictures you have, again, to see approximately where that tail is attached. And the way the tail is positioned is up to you. You can have the tail, let me just blend it in here a little so it doesn't fall off. The tail can be down along the body where it's barely visible, as you can see in this design, or in this one it's just barely visible, or you can put it up. But if you put it up, just remember, as you work on your piece, it's a delicate part and you're going to constantly be banging into it as you work on the other parts, perfecting the other parts of your detail. So what you would want to do is just, if you're going to put it on, just to get a sense of the relationship where it goes to the other parts of the body, you want to just put it down there and just kind of leave it in position. And if you damage it at the very end, you can always go back in. These are usually the kind of details that you want to leave to the very end to touch them up so that you won't have to worry about damaging them time and time again and losing time in creating your sculpture.